G'day there guys, just because someone's entitled doesn't make them a good person. It's your main man Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/EntitledPeople. Now if you love today's content, I want you to smack that subscribe button, sit back, relax and enjoy today's bloody good content. Thank you. Our first post is by user I'm Not a Terrorist 1312, titled Marry My Son. The fact that this happened to me yesterday is enough to baffle me. I'm 17 female, still in high school, and I already have a boyfriend. I was visiting my aunt's A house, and unbeknownst to me, her friend AF and her friend's son FS are also there. Everything was going great. I bonded well with FS since both of us like the same author. Crap hits the fan when I went to the kitchen to help my aunt who was making dinner. So there's me, cooking some curry. AF comes along and says, "Oh wow, you're such a great cook. How old are you?" I say, "Oh, I just turned 17 last week." "Wow, you're such a great cook. I bet you can bake as well." "Well, I guess you can say that. I baked those cupcakes you're eating myself." "You're gonna be a great housewife. Do you want to marry my son?" Excuse me? I said, do you want to marry FS, my son? I'm not trying to be rude, but I have to say no, sorry. Why are you rejecting my proposal? I saw how well you guys bonded just a moment ago. Trust me, AF, I do not have any feelings for your son. I want my son to have a wife like you, so you have to marry him. Fortunately, my aunt, bless her, she is so nice, saw all of this go down and decided to join our conversation. And says, AF, she already said she does not want to marry your son and she's only 17. Well, she can marry FS after she finishes high school, and judging by her looks, I doubt anyone would ask her for her hand in marriage anytime soon. I was about to cry at this time, so I just stared at the floor. Auntie says, AF, stop it. You can't force my niece to marry FS. I can do whatever I want, and I want your niece to marry my son. AF, please stop this, or I need to ask you to get out of my house. Oh, you're kicking me out of your house just for your niece? Yes, I am. Well, fine then. Don't expect me to come here again. Not while your niece is here. FS, we're leaving. AF storms out of the house, and FS just followed her. I'm really grateful that my aunt is there to save me. Our next post is by user FredZRed, titled, Karen won't get out of the handicap parking space and gets angry when she gets blocked in. So here I was, thinking that I'd run out of entitled parent stories that don't involve my mother, but I'm back with yet another one. This happened a few days ago. I'm recovering from abdominal surgery 12 days prior to when this happened. So I was finally feeling up for shopping, and there were things I needed from the hardware store. I'm a 30-year-old disabled female in a wheelchair, incomplete quadriplegic, and I don't have a car, so I got a taxi there. One with a ramp on the back so I don't have to get out of my wheelchair. Mr. Taximan, who we'll call Bruce, drops me off, and I went in to do my thing. Nothing out of the ordinary. When I finished my shopping, I called to get the taxi back. It would be a 15-minute wait, but it was such a nice day that I didn't mind waiting outside. As I was waiting, I noticed that someone was parked in a disabled parking space, but there was no disabled tags on the windscreen. Annoying, but I honestly didn't care at that point. I just wanted to get home. About 15 minutes later, I saw a middle-aged woman walk out of the store and went straight to that car. She opened the boot, putting her shopping in, and went around to the driver's side. But instead of getting in though, she got out a cigarette and started looking at her phone. A few minutes after that, I saw my taxi arrive. Bruce, being the polite and patient man he is, waited for the woman to drive out of the car space. Karen knew he was waiting for her, and she was damn sure she was parking illegally in the disabled parking space, but do you think she cared? She finished her cigarette and got into the car. We waited and waited, then waited some more. until Bruce got rightly fed up and parked the taxi directly behind Karen's car, blocking her in. This is when things got interesting. Karen began to honk her horn repetitively for a few seconds before she got out of her car and says, "What the bloody hell do you think you're doing? You blocked me in." Bruce, in a mocking, apologetic tone, says, "Oh, I'm very sorry, ma'am, but I needed the car space, and you seem to want to stay there. Just thought I'd do you a favor. Now, if you don't mind, I have a job to do." Bruce gestured in my direction as I gave Karen a big smile. I hate confrontation, so I appreciated Bruce doing it for me. Bruce got into the car and fastened me and my wheelchair into place, all the while with Karen yelling profanities and threatening to call the police. If it were any other day, I would have just been happy to call the police so Karen would get a fine. But I just wanted to go home. It only took a few minutes before I was secured in the car and we left. But I made sure to give Karen a smile and a one-finger salute through the window as we were leaving, which made the encounter all the more sweeter. Our next post is by user DeliciousOcelot172, titled, "Entitled brother-in-law, 30 male, pushes my daughter off a chair." So, for a little backstory, I, 25 female, am married to my husband, 25 male. We've been together for about 10 years now. I accidentally got pregnant around 4 to 5 years ago, and we decided to keep it. We had our baby girl 4 years ago, and ever since then, we've been doing great, surprisingly. Dear husband graduated university, and we both found our great jobs. We bought a good house, we have both our parents' support. Honestly, I could not ask for anything more. I have my beautiful family, and we're extremely happy. Well, there's only one thing in dear husband's family that I don't particularly like. My brother-in-law, 30 male, has always been rude, insulting, and mean ever since my husband and I started dating. From the start of our relationship, every time something went missing in his house, I was the thief who stole it from him. It didn't matter what it was. This includes anime dolls, 350 euros, books, food, ... He also talked horribly about me. Told dear husband from the start of the relationship that he should dump me because I wasn't a good person. I honestly had no idea why he treated me like this. I tried so hard to get along with him because he was my brother-in-law. I've always paid for his drinks and food whenever he went out to eat because he had no job. It was honestly so unfair that he went out of his way to say that I was annoying and a brat because I always tried my hardest to be a good person. I honestly really had enough of him and made sure not to get myself involved with him. He also refused to let me go inside his parents' house to visit dear husband when we were 17 years old and he was 22. He is what you call an otaku. I'm not sure if that's the word, but basically, he dedicates his whole life to anime. He didn't finish high school, he dropped out when he was 18, and he was in his sophomore year. And since then, he hasn't studied or even had a job. He lived off his parents for about 12 years without doing a single thing. Not even housework. All he's done ever since I've met him is watch anime, talk about anime, play Yu-Gi-Oh!, make JoJo references, and draw. When I first met him, I gave him my advice and told him that he should study something related to art. It was clearly something that he was extremely passionate about, but he said that he didn't want to study because it would take away his unique style. Fast forward 3 months ago. His parents had enough of him not working and sitting around watching anime while his parents worked their asses off to support him. He is 30, has no studies, and has never had a job before. They kicked him out of the house, told him that he had other family members who could help him, but he did not want to live with his aunt or grandmother. He decided that instead of actually working to pay for his own apartment, he would crash at our place while he considered studying art like I'd told him. I was hesitant at first. This man has always disliked me from the very beginning for stupid reasons. He always accused me of stealing his things. I've never stolen anything in my life, But dear husband ended up convincing me to give it a shot and see if we could work things out, considering the pandemic and all. I also thought that maybe he could have changed. Well, at first, he was extremely nice to me, dear husband, and our daughter. He would help us wash dishes, make the beds, make food. He's not the best cook, but it's the effort and thought that counts. I honestly thought that he really had changed, and I was so happy for him. He still loved anime, of course, and sometimes we would watch it all together. But a few weeks later, and things turned sour. He told us he was considering doing something related to art. Drawing comic books, I think, I'm not really sure. He asked us if we were willing to give him his own studio so he could work. Dear husband and I didn't have a separate room, but we did have a big basement where dear husband played the drums. The conversation went along something like this. Brother-in-law says, "Is it possible to put a drawing studio around here? Don't you have a space in the guest room?" "Yeah, but I would really like to have my own studio around here so I can work with my drawings." The basement is the only place where you could have a studio of some sorts. The only problem is that my drum is down there too. Fine. It's good enough, I guess. Could you guys also buy me some books so I can learn how to draw better? So, we put a desk down there, all the utensils he needed to work on his drawings, and he begged us to buy him a book so he could learn how to draw better. We spent a lot of money on him. I was honestly hoping that he would actually get his dream job of being an artist, even if I had to pay 50 euros for a few books. The thing about brother-in-law is that he is very possessive of his things. I always respect his space and everything that he has around, but he would get extremely pissed off if I had the nerve to touch his belongings, even if it were to clean his bedroom. But whatever. 2 months went by. I didn't really see brother-in-law to be too interested in actually working or studying, like we initially agreed he would do. He's always drawing small anime girls, big girls with big tits, and from time to time, he'd make a drawing of himself as an anime boy. I asked him if he was earning money from this. We're okay financially, but we're a family of 3 adults, and some extra income would help us. And all he said was, "Not really, no." I was a bit annoyed, I won't lie. He was acting like we were his parents, asking us for money to buy a new anime doll or money to make a new cosplay. We didn't mind helping him financially, but he was avoiding getting an actual job and was relying on us for everything. And it wasn't really important necessities. Yesterday, I was officially done. Dear husband, brother-in-law, my daughter and I were downstairs talking about something while dear husband was doing stuff with his drums. My daughter saw that in his studio, he had opened one of the books to a page where there was a drawing of a girl. She ran over to his studio and sat in his chair. I noticed the look brother-in-law gave her, but I didn't think it was an angry look or anything. Then my daughter flipped one of the pages. Gently, she did not rip the page or anything and, "Mummy, look!" Brother-in-law completely lost it. He got up, grabbed my daughter's arm, and yanked her out of the seat. From what I saw, it looked like he had pushed her off. Thank God the chair was not so high up, and that my daughter wasn't actually hurt. She didn't cry, but the fact that he had the audacity to do that made my blood boil. He starts off by saying, "How many times did I tell you not to touch my stuff?" And I reply, "What the actual F is wrong with you? She's being a brat. I already told you guys not to touch my things." "You mean the things that we paid for?" "She's 4 years old, idiot." My daughter is shocked. "She was just looking at the book that dear husband and I bought you." "Shut the F up. You know how much I hate it when you guys touch my work?" Now I'm absolutely losing it. "Your work? Your work? You don't work. You sit around and paint naked anime girls all day. You eat our food. You don't pay rent. You are not even interested in actually moving your pathetic ass at all. You are 30 years old, for God's sake." Then my dear husband says, "Dude, she's absolutely right. Don't touch my daughter like that." Brother-in-law to dear husband says, "You spineless jackass, stand up to her for once." And I say, "Get the F out of my house right now." "No, I'm not leaving." You think you can stay here? Attack and yell at my daughter for touching a book we paid for because you don't want to get a real job? Ask us for money for your stupid conventions and cosplays? You're an embarrassment to your parents. I know it's not cool to insult someone like that, but if you touch my daughter and call me names, I will crush you. Eventually, he did leave. I packed his bags for him, and I did not pack the books and dolls that we paid for. Dear husband and I thought we could give it to some charity. And he left to live with his 60-year-old aunt, who is much more stern and tough than I am. Right now, I don't know how to feel. I feel like a piece of crap for saying all that to him. We spent so much money on him, we did everything we could to help him, and I feel like we could have actually done more. Edit. Thank you for all your replies. I'd like to answer some questions that I got from people who were saying this is fake, just because I didn't know what Yu-Gi-Oh was. I've seen this man play so many card games based off of anime that I honestly cannot keep track of what games he plays. I've always heard about Yu-Gi-Oh, but I wasn't sure because I barely listened to him when he talked about it. He also made his own games as well. But I personally think I'm way too old to play them because I have to attend to my daughter and my job. From what I've heard from my in-laws, his aunt is not tolerating him at all, and he has only been there for a few weeks. I'm pretty sure that if he keeps this up, he'll eventually be homeless, or maybe living on the other side of the country with his grandmother who smothered him since his birth. It honestly doesn't make much sense to me. His parents gave him so many opportunities. They even offered to pay 1,500 euros for him to get his driver's license. He said that he was waiting for dear husband to get his to get free rides everywhere. I think about being his age, and I just can't imagine myself living off of my family like that. And our next post is by user Leathershop8468, titled, Told Off My Entitled Father and His Spoiled Brat. So, yesterday, I posted that my biological father had reached out to me because he needed a kidney transplant, and I was the only one who could help in all of his kids. Which is suspicious since he's got 3 other kids. For a bit of context, my biological father met my mother and had an affair with her behind his back. My mother got dumped, and she said that if he didn't want to be in our lives, then he should give up his parental rights. He did it, and I found out the whole truth when I was 18, and it nearly destroyed me. I still have issues because of this. On Monday, I get a call from a lawyer representing my biological father, who wanted to know if I would be willing to give him one of my kidneys for a very big amount of money, in the thousands. The man was rich and lived the high life. It honestly felt like a movie or a bad joke. I asked for some time because I was too shocked or emotional to make an informed and mature decision about this. For 2 days, my biological father is called and left messages trying to guilt me or buy my kidney. He cried and begged for help. The worst was his youngest daughter, my half-sister of 24 years old. She called me and accused me of trying to kill her father. Not mine, obviously, as I'm just a mistake. That my existence has ruined her parents' marriage, and that giving my kidney to her father would atone for the sin that is my birth. I shit you not, those were her words. After a few comments and some time off, I realized that I did not have to give my kidney to a man who gave me up. For 28 years, he has not cared once about me, and now, when he's in trouble, I should be grateful for the scraps he throws my way? Hell no. I called my biological father directly and told him that I was not going to give my kidney to him and to never call me back ever again. I told him of how much pain that I had felt my entire life without a father. I told him how cheap and awful I felt that now, of all times, he would call me up for something like this. Did he even want a relationship with me after this? His silence was all that I needed to know that I had made the right choice. He tried one last time to get me to agree, and I told him that if he kept on talking, I would make a complaint to the police. He got the message and left me alone. His youngest did not. She left me a message that basically said that I was a bitch, a selfish monster for letting the man who gave me life die like this, that I should do my duty to him, and blah blah blah. A real piece of work. I called her back and told her that I would gladly give up my kidney, my leg, my heart, and my soul to my family. However, since her father gave up his rights on me, then he and his crotch goblins that he had the audacity to pass as children will never be family. Besides, if her father has the money for a brand new Mercedes for her, then he has the money to buy a kidney on the black market. She had nothing to say to this, and I hung up. I don't know if I'm angry, hurt, or something else right now. It was a hell of a month. First, my sister-in-law steals my stuff, and now this? This year has been hell. Edit. The lawyer had called me on Monday, and had asked if I'd be willing to see if I was a match. When I stupidly said that I was O-negative, like my bio father, he asked if I was willing to do other tests. I asked for time because I was too shocked, and he agreed to call back in a week. He just called and did not make a fuss or offer me any money for my kidney. I told him that I was going to have a cease and desist against his clients and his entire family because of their harassment. The lawyer went silent for a moment and apologized for his client's behavior and promised that I would not be bothered again. Turns out, my bio father knew perfectly well that he wasn't to contact me or anything. Now, since I've listened to all the wonderful advice given to me in such a short time, I have proof. Thanks to you all. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed this new installment of r/EntitledPeople. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. I love your faces. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.